up, Richie D?
Mr. Durable, what's going on?
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Mad Dad City, the podcast where you don't have to be mad. You don't even have to be a dad. It's just a podcast.
Facts.
That's right. I mean, maybe I am mad sometimes. I am a dad, and I do live close to a city. Suburbia. Mad Dad Suburbs is really what we should have called it.
We're both married.
That's true.
We're both married. Well, man, it's seriously as far as we go back, it's always good to be in your presence.
Right on, man.
Hopefully,
Same.
we can share some stuff today that
Yeah, you know it. So
is entertaining.
Before we dive in, we're gonna make today's cast a little "Did you know" focused. Rich and I brought a couple of topics of just random "Did you know" material. But first, man, I'd love to hear how the new job's going. You know, what's going on? New employment, double employment. What do you got cooking?
Listen, been a freight broker for about 20 years, man, and one thing I love about freight is they haven't figured out a way to email it yet, so it keeps me working.
Low tech, but yet it's still everybody still needs it, right?
Facts.
Yep.
Been around since we've been around, and I am now a cannabis sales rep. Get to walk into the dispensaries and
all right,
shoot the shit and sell product and
enjoying it.
Oh man, I tell you, me and you in our 20s were like, man, you get to be around weed all the time. But man, the best part about it is when you see older people coming in there.
Sure.
And they just look like when they walk, they hurt. And
okay,
when
some pain relief.
Oh man, so when they come into different dispensaries or whatnot that I'm in, and they're like, man, this cream really, really helps. You know? And they don't have to be on the medicine medicine cabinet.
Yep.
Stockpile, and not addicting.
Don't need your prescription drugs.
No. And we're not demeaning that at all. Just it's not for everybody, and it shouldn't be for everybody. This is a very natural thing, and it helps a lot of people.
You know what? How many states are, I think just about everybody's legal now in some form or another, or decriminalized, except for Oklahoma, Kansas, and like Idaho.
Oklahoma is good. They have a Kansas is. There's 4 states that just absolutely
zero tolerance. Right?
Zero. I don't even think a CBD is cool in Kansas. Could be wrong on that, but I think it's coming.
Well, eventually.
It's just a. In fact, if you don't mind, I think I'm gonna pop right into my.
Let's hear it, dude. Did you know?
It goes right
Let's
there.
See.
Henry Ford's first Model T was made of hemp and built. This was the one that got me, D. Was built to run on hemp gasoline.
Hemp gasoline, the Model T in 1910? When did the Model T come out? 1904? In that early 1900s.
Mechanics. Maybe 1904. No, it can't be. The engine. So in 1893, he built the first combustible engine. So that's 1896. 1903 helped establish Ford Motor Company.
1903, Ford Motor Company's established. Initially intended to be utilizing hemp oil as the fuel source. Am I reading that right or hearing that right?
You damn right you're hearing that right. And I'm so emphatic about that because that leads me to my point of the Native American Indians sometimes have to look back at us and look at us and be like, what are you guys doing?
Man. Of course.
What are you doing?
Of course.
In the name of capitalism, but I digress.
Well, I mean, dude, the Native American culture, as far as I understand, obviously there was tons of different tribes. There was tens of millions of people here that we don't understand, and I'd love to learn more, but the number of tribes here that were self-sustainable as an overall culture, right? They didn't waste anything. And here we are, single-use plastics galore in just about everything we utilize on our day-to-day. Landfills, microplastics, oceans filling up with discarded waste. What we believe is being recycled. This was a few years back. I used to be a big recycle guy. Used to try to go out of my way to recycle, organize recycle groups at communities, apartment complexes, whatever I lived in. Then you read less than 10% of what we ever tried to recycle has been recycled in the first place. Oh yeah, damn.
Shout out to the movie The Lorax. I think it.
The Lorax.
Oh my God. I mean, it just points everything out. Like, come on, man. I've given you this. I'm talking in terms of the creator here. I've given you everything you need to live life and not have to survive it. Hmm?
Oh dang, that's a animated film from 3 or 4 years ago, right?
It's probably a little older than that,
Really?
but yeah, it's a Dr. Seuss
Okay, Dr.
joint.
Seuss.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember seeing the trailers. I don't think I ever saw the movie itself.
Every kid, before we start introducing alphabet options as far as life, I guess people got to learn about things. I let everybody have their opinions about that, but I think everybody should have to watch the Lorax in school.
Okay.
I think it's a
So main takeaway here for the listener audience: go check out the Lorax. Life lessons.
better do it.
Right on, man.
Better
Dang,
do it.
dude. So hemp oil was I did not know that. I would dig in there. So audience, if you're ever listening in, check into it. Leave some comments if we ever have a listener.
And the reason I trip off of hemp oil again is
Yep.
you and I were alive during the war in Iraq.
Sure,
Right?
Sure was.
Conspiracy theorists, a lot of people say that war was really over oil. In some way, shape, or form, it had to be, right?
So, yeah, man, the conspiracy theorists, I mean, I love good conspiracies. Don't get me wrong. I always, at the time, what were we? September 11, 2001 was a sophomore, junior in college. Wasn't thinking along the global scale of geopolitical, politics by any means or what's going on. But I remember several years later, someone pointing out, hey, Dick Cheney is voted in as vice president, former CEO of Halliburton, one of the main weapons manufacturers. 9 months into his tenure, we go to, September 11th occurs, World Trade Center is attacked. That's a whole nother topic of conversation from a conspiracy standpoint. But we then go to Afghanistan, and I read recently, I forget what it was. I'll have to pull it up because I texted it to some friends. I should have included you on the chain. The decision was already made before it was even, discussed externally, but the decision was already made within 9 days, I think, of September 11th that the Iraq invasion was being planned. So, when you learn those things or you see it, if they're true, of course, because, who knows? You and I weren't actually there. Mm-hmm. But, damn, yeah, there's certainly some powers at play that make you say, right?
And so that, again, my Native American people say, how could you? How? I mean, think about all the lives that were lost over that. Over financial gain, greed, really. And then you think about it, we had plants that you can readily grow in most states in this country outdoors. We're having wars over gas when we have the capability to set our lawnmowers, our cars, everything else that runs on gas could have just been hemp oil, and people could have been getting high. But think about how many people went to jail over it, how many people have died
Still
over
are in
it.
jail.
Come on.
Yep.
And then to tag along, John Boehner, all those years was the Republican House Speaker. For
sure.
Anti-pot.
Right. Now he's a big investor.
He's the one, Green Holdings or something like that. He's the VP of whatever.
Right.
Yada yada. As Dave Chappelle would say, yada yada yada. Barack Obama is Dick Cheney's long lost cousin. Then that's facts. They're related. I guess we're all related.
Saying they're not. Yeah, as I'm saying, hey, how far back the family tree you want to go, right?
But they both have admitted. I've seen both of them admit, yeah, we're family.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy.
Okay, so I had no idea. I'm sure that doesn't improve their relationship much.
Nor our opinion of either.
See you at Thanksgiving, I guess.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
Oh, dang.
Maybe.
Dude. All right.
Man, hit us with your did you know.
That's a good one, man. That's a good one. Let's start off on a similar topic then. You went Native American here, so let's go LiDAR jungle discoveries. Are you familiar with LiDAR?
Yeah, we've had conversations. Yes, sir.
Have we? Okay, good. So the Honduran lost city of the monkey god. right? Kind of a mythical city. I'm sure there's been movies made on it. I remember growing up just seeing, I don't know, probably some King Kong type shit or something, right? But apparently, it was a full scale city. It's been discovered via LIDAR in the Honduran jungle that tens of thousands of people once lived there. So we're not talking a small village with a couple of tribes or something like that, right? We're talking tens of thousands of people. There's a whole entire best-selling investigative book on it by the author Douglas Preston, something I just learned that I want to read into, learn more about it. But yeah, man, going back into the 40s, there was this dude, Theodore Mord, went in there, discovered it, found it, but then we rediscovered it, I guess, via LIDAR. Yeah, man, the monkey god city in the Honduran jungle was a real thing, and not just some mythical city. So it just makes you say, what was truly here pre-Columbian era, right? So what I've been following a lot, and I think we talked about it last time you were here for the show, the whole theory of the fact that there were tens and tens of millions of of natives in South America and North America, far intertwined, far more advanced from a cultural standpoint than anyone, that grew up in our day, learning a little bit about the Incans and the Mayas, I suppose, would give credit for that was already here. It's just a sort of a whitewashed, glossed over history of South America, North America. And LIDAR recently, as they continue to go through different cross sections of the Amazonian jungle and the rainforest, continue to find much more undiscovered territory that's just been grown over by the jungle itself, man. So you're talking cities, interconnected, major metropolises that, we just don't give any credit for, right? And the main killer wasn't, the conquistadors coming over in battle. It was virus, measles, just wiping out tens of millions of people, 90%, 95% kill rate because there was just no immunity to these viruses. But the monkey god, man, I want to read that book now and learn more about it.
Well, it's funny you say that because, I both of us go down our rabbit holes quite often. One of the things that's tripping me out that's going on, like right now today, and it's if the Bible's rewritten 200 years from now, what's going on right now in Africa is something that's going to have to be talked about in terms of Africa is cracking, is splitting. The southeastern, eastern part of Africa is literally separating from the rest of the continent. Okay, so I say that because you and I have had these LIDAR conversations before, and you got to think they're saying now that the lost city of Atlantis was right in the middle of Africa.
Oh, so the Eye of the Sahara? That one? You've been reading? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they say what happens there is weather, water. You hear about the Great Flood in the Bible.
Sure.
You hear about Pangea.
Sure.
These world-altering. So sometimes, as much as I'm quick to say, oh, everything is whitewashed, and even though I do believe a lot of shit is whitewashed and we're lied to about a lot of different things, sometimes I wonder, like Graham
Hancock,
our guy, he talks about us as a civilization that's 10,000 years old as opposed to 6,000 years old. And we go back a lot further. And sometimes you got to think, well, if these big, massive, I'm big on, shout out to Ice Age, animated flick, go watch it.
Lorax and Ice Age, go get it.
Some of these big monumental events, catastrophes, have shaped not just history, but the fact that we don't know much about it because, tomorrow, you're gone, like wiped out.
Sure, cataclysm, massive
gone.
Cataclysm, gone, right?
And so, but then it's like, I know there's a lot of people like, motherfucker, Christopher Columbus, oh man, he was like the 1,900,000th motherfucker over here. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to.
Yeah. So Columbus gets credit. Well, I mean, I'd say the past 20 years, people have been starting to, rightfully so, finally dismiss him from
But he does deserve
co-
the credit. I think he deserves the credit
from the European.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, it was a new world discovery, but it's hard to discover something in general when there's already tens of millions.
Right,
of
but
people
I'm
there,
saying
right?
what he brought to the world, really, because then America becomes America. What he brought to
Sure.
the world is the same thing we were talking about earlier, in terms of like God gave us plants to make our own gas, but here we are warring and killing people for millions of
To
dollars.
drill down into the earth
Right.
to bring up the tens of millions of years old prehistoric dinosaur era just decayed matter that we can then turn into fuel, which then pollutes the environment. So it's strange, man.
And that's funny because both of our did you knows, like on a for real level, are very much attached to one another.
Yep.
Very much attached.
I got another Columbus related. Did you know? So in 1490, whatever 92, but who knows if it was a second or first trip or what. So are you familiar with the current issue with just the millions and millions of wild feral pigs, mainly throughout the Southeast? However,
Yeah, I've heard something
through
a little about this.
California,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Northwest, all the way up through the Northeast.
Yeah.
So there's millions and millions of these feral pigs. They get to be about 5 feet long, 500 pounds. They destroy ecosystems. They multiply like crazy, right? If you go to the Southeast, you can just shoot them on site, kill them. You can take helicopter tours, shoot them from your helicopter. They're just a problem, of course. So all of these pigs that are now a major issue within certain regions of the United States started with 6 that were brought over by Christopher Columbus and left in South Florida.
Motherfucker.
Come on, Columbus.
And you know what's crazy, man, is I was just watching something on YouTube the other day, and the dude was going through 12 foods that you should stay away from that we eat and other countries have completely banned. And our pork,
Pig, delicious.
our
though.
pork was like number one on
Was
the
it
list.
really? So yeah, man, I hear it all the time, and every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But every time I hear that sizzle of that bacon,
Yeah.
dang, that's hard to resist.
It is.
It's so tasty. Why? Why do the good things have to be so bad?
I ain't gonna lie. I don't eat shrimp and I don't eat pork. Decisions I made, but I miss them both dearly.
Good for you, man.
You know,
Good for you. Some health conscious decisions.
Well, and it really was, man. For me, it was getting personal here on our first show.
Here we go.
Hey, hemorrhoids are for real, baby. You know what I'm saying? You preparation H. You
That's
walk
the
by.
mad dad.
Hey, you walk through that. You walk through that Walgreens or that Walmart, and you see preparation H. People need that shit sometimes. And
Okay.
One of the things that I found that was really making me act up down there was pork, and it wasn't just pork. It was I guess you are what you eat. Isn't that kind of funny? I couldn't just. It's hard to stop at 2 pieces of bacon.
True.
Go
Can't
down.
get a little BLT.
Oh,
You
dude.
know, you gotta. There's some leftover on the side. I get it.
Listen, and even like a grilled cheese with some bacon in it.
Grilled cheese with bacon. Bacon's pretty much a good add-in.
I mean, when they make an ice cream out of you know.
Man, so speaking of health conscious decisions, I started off this year with a couple of small changes that we're making. My plan was to go the entire year, but I went dry to start the year, so no alcohol, no beer, no liquor, nothing for 2 months. Not eating anything after 6 o'clock, and no sugar. Right. So I started to feel a lot of the benefits of that. Fell off at the end of February. I just got back on here to start in June, so I'm almost a full month in. Feeling good again, dropping a few pounds. Man, I got a long ways to go. My goal is to get back to that college weight of around 200.
Listen, that's sugar, man.
Sugar, yeah, dude.
Shit. Like, man, you read, and it's funny because I posed this question to my father-in-law, big farmer, and the products, the crops that he grows, he talks about. I always have the conversation with him about like GMO versus non-GMO, and he's like, man, I get everybody thinks that they need to eat healthy, but he said, here's the reality: if I don't spray pesticides on that crop out there, there's not going to be a crop.
Yep.
And he's like, how do you want it? He said, the problem is that it used to be we all farmed. Don't care who you were.
Makes
You
sense.
farmed. You had your own food. So you could grow what you needed to grow for your own house, can it, do whatever you needed to do, and that's how you would preserve your food. But when you're talking about feeding millions of lazy folks
Yeah.
who honestly think
Global food scale, man.
and there's still plenty, but now you get right back into the same conversation we just had about fuel versus control versus how it compares to world domination, how it helps my bank account. You know, I always remember this statement my history teacher told me. He said, "Man, it's not the form of, you know, all the isms in theory are great, but the one thing that none of the isms really think about is human nature. So capitalism is cool in theory. Socialism is fantastic. Communism is cool.
You
All
got
these
people
things.
running it though, right? You
It-
always have some faulty human behind the
There's
scenes.
always some dick who is attracted to some bitch, and I'm just saying that so I'm disrespecting both genders. Or, sorry, I guess
Don't say sorry, man. We're just talking.
we're just talking.
There's nobody listening.
Nobody. Well, at some point, I mean that. There's always a vagina and a penis involved. I mean, you think about it. How many wars were started? Cleopatra.
I love how we talk about sugar and now we're talking about Cleopatra. All direct line of intersection.
It all comes together. You know, Cleopatra, man. How many wars did they fight over there?
I don't know. I need to read up on that.
Julius Caesar. Oh man, come on. But yeah, sugar, man.
So I read Food Inc. probably 10 years ago or something, or maybe I watched the documentary and I just in my head was like, yeah, I just tell people I read the book. I don't know. But the one stat that left me or that stuck with me out of that was there's about 700,000 individual food products today that we have an option to choose from, and 500,000 of those products have added sugar. Just straight up pour some sugar in it, right? Peanut butter, added sugar. Ketchup, added sugar. Bread, added sugar. Milk, added sugar, right?
It's a filler too.
Yeah, it's just there, man. Sugar.
And there again, see, so on that plant will, man, for that plant, the powers that be will make sure that they get all of the uses of it humanly possible to pad their pockets. But when it comes to that hemp plant, oh no, we're not going to unleash the possibilities on that one.
Nope.
No.
Not happening. Hit me with the did you know? Got another one?
Let's switch to sports.
Oh, okay. All right.
I believe in you know what? I'm not going to believe. I'll pull it up right here. Blew my mind because you just don't do things like this. Okay.
How about this? You look it up. I got it. Did you know?
Yeah.
All right. Check this out, man. Did you know that there is a global country of world peace? It is a borderless Hindu country located in Iowa. Did you know that? So check it out, man. There's this dude named Tony Nader. He's a neuroscientist.
Okay.
He started a community that somehow have designated themselves as their own country. It's a borderless Hindu country. They have their own currency. It's called the RAM. It is accepted in the United States and in Europe. Most of the members or the citizens of this country are also employees of CERN, the European Nuclear Agency. And I also have a personal connection here because several years back, I took some transcendental meditation courses. You have to go find a guide and go through some trainings. Transcendental meditation, he's also the founder and the leader of transcendental meditation. I didn't know that, but when I read about the global country of world peace, and it was Tony Nader, I dug a little bit deeper, and sure enough, same dude. So, something about transcendental meditation and this global country of world peace located in Iowa are connected. So, did you know that?
Mm-mm.
How are you going to respond to the country in Iowa called Global Country for World Peace?
You know, I think everybody at the end of the day, man, most cool people anyway.
How do you have a borderless country to begin with? What does that even mean? You just live in the suburbs of some Iowa city and call yourself a country? I don't get it.
It's a country of the mind.
It's kind of like today when you hear this talk of civil war, the next civil war. So logistically, how's that going to work out? There was a clear battle line prior, from my understanding. You had the North and the South, right?
It all
Now,
right here.
yeah, but but how's it gonna work? Right? Everybody's mixed together. And if there's a civil war, logistically, what does that mean? How's it gonna work?
I don't know.
Do you have any? We need to go get some guns. I don't have any guns. I did look at some guns last weekend.
I did.
At
I did go to GT over there on Metcalf and
What's GT?
435. They are a wholesaler. They sell to cops and
okay.
our former friend, or still our friend, but our former teammate, Jamie Miller.
Oh, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, told me that's a good
Still a
place.
friend. How? At what point? So I've lost touch with Jamie. Love to hit him up. Would be cool to see him. At what point does a friend become a contact, or it's like what's the point
again,
in line?
There again,
Yeah.
it all comes back to the mindset.
So when did I probably last talked to Jamie in 2003 or 4? I can't tell you for sure if I've talked or communicated with him since.
I've talked to him much more recent than that, but I feel you. That is an interesting question. When do you lose the privilege of calling somebody friend? Or when do they lose the privilege to call you one?
He can call me friend as long as he wants. He's a good dude. I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting question. But then that puts the onus back on us as people to make sure we try to stay in contact because it's tough.
Let's have him on the show.
Jamie,
We're coming, man.
We're coming. Wait,
man.
here's my did you know?
Yeah, let's get it.
A borderless Hindu country.
I know, man. Look it up. Global Country for World Peace.
I mean, it's peaceful up in Iowa too, man. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
In 2004,
Okay.
Barry Bonds reached base safely
Sports.
376 times. Does that impress you?
Sure. Anything that dude did at that point in time was impressive.
But here's the kicker of that. He only had, remember, the number was 376. He reached base safely 376
Is this
times.
in one season?
In one
Okay.
season.
All right.
But in that same season, he only cataloged 373 at bats.
So, how many of those at bats were plate? I mean, how of those 376? How many were plate appearances?
I
Right,
believe
where
this
he-
is the year he walked like
He was walked
232
twice
times.
a game, right? Yeah. So,
But that's the stat right there.
that's
that's
a
a-
ridiculous stat. That was when was he at his peak at that point? That was his 72. How many home runs did he hit? 70 something.
That might have been like one of those off years he had that were still like talked about as
You would turn on the TV. It's Barry Bonds. He's had his little. He choked up 2 or 3 inches on the bat. He'd take half a swing. Ball would go into the bay. He'd round the bases. It was.
And that's another thing. When you look at, they call them, what do they call those when they hit them into the bay? They have like an actual name they call them, bay bombs. We'll just
Whatever
call them
they
bay
call it.
bombs
Yeah,
for right
yeah.
now. I guess that guy has like 182 like bay bombs, and the next guy close to him has like
3.
like something single digit.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay.